but look at the way he's grinning. Dude, he's mewing on her. Know your place, gamer. After the HOS incident, we opened to a funeral. And I know we've been to one during Canto 6, but seeing a funeral just in the PM universe is like seeing food in the fridge when there's nothing to eat. It's a pleasant surprise. So after the bodies are cremated, suddenly every scientist in a 50-mile radius wanted a piece of Sinclair. So he basically got dragged off for some human experiments. I also like how they tried to ask for his opinion, like they're not about to bag him, but the sinners split off to do their own thing, leaving us with Ryoshu and Faust. Since we had some free time on our hand, Honham decided to give us a job. And this conversation is like the funniest thing that came out of her character development. Hey Madger, since you're free right now, wanna help me with something?
I got this!
IGT, says CH. Okay, sinner number 2? Would you kindly translate for us?
I got this!
I have no idea what IGT means.
What? No, what? Don't translate her. What? Why would I need... Faust finally steps up to translate everything, which gave us our new mission, to explore the Backrooms. But first, there's someone you should meet before entering. Who is it? You already know who she is. Whoa, Jai, Han, listen guys. We can't just forgive her yet, okay? She literally massacred like 20 people with a smile on her face. But Honheim told us to put her to work, so she started complaining about how they gave her no TV, no comic books, just... I'm gonna stop you right there. You're only alive because the company decided you had some worth in you. We could have easily hypnotized you, inject you with a truth serum, or hell, scrape your brain and analyze that. So when I said putting you to work, I'm not asking for it. I'm telling you. But he leaves the room for us to try and persuade her because he was getting a little heated. I like how they're showing that he's still grieving over what happened, but Ryoshu surprisingly convinced Kira. How, you may ask? With an ultimatum. Join us or die. You see, Kira doesn't actually hold a grudge against us. She got her book and her tattoo taken away. Matthias was weaker than us. That's it. So, they went back to the ring area and we all met Alan. Their whole thing is that they're trying to become the new W Corp. They got this portal gate tech that actually teleports you rather than, you know. But they're here to investigate the gates in the House of Spiders. So he asked Kira first since she should know the most, but she was given attitude again. So bro... Nah, punching a random person you just met because they were giving attitude is sociopathic behavior. And Kira is better than me because I would have swung immediately. Honheim even stepped in to tell the dude to back off or else we burning this contract. Then dude responded by saying, "Oh my bad, I thought we treated everyone like this." So he asked Ryoshu next and we both know what's happening in her head. But she gave what she could and we went into her door. On the other side is a pretty wild exhibit. Even Kira was super excited to see these things since it's apparently quite realistic. Ryoshu explains that this is one of the schools called Fauvism. And since this exhibit is probably a main studio, that means there's a raid boss here. Hearing that, Honheim hit the...
Alan, we are so fucked.
Then, right on cue, the raid boss appeared. We had to stall for as long as possible so that Alan can set up a security door. So Ryoshu went to distract her by reminiscing about the past. But the aura coming off of the Maestro was so strong, they actively considered unleashing full power Dawn or letting Ryoshu use her sword. But we probably can't control Dawn, so that's out of the question. Leaving Ryoshu to put up some excellent comms, debuff the boss and buff me, cause Ryo never duck a Fade Shoe was itching to kill this furry. So she draws her sword.
Now that's unexpected. I thought you had achieved your potential.
A light swing from the Maestro hand made Ryoshu instantly jump back. Then she plunged her hand into a giant serpent, immediately starting up phase 2. Dante was mid-menu trying to get the IDs out until Kira blocks the attack. But she didn't do this out of the kindness of her heart. In fact, she was panicking. She yelled at Honheim to unlock her gear already, which allowed her to at least parry and jump back. Don stepped in to help but got absolutely deleted. There were hundreds of students surrounding us, but luckily, the security door is done. Kira is surrounded and in seeing that everyone is clear, momentarily gave up. It's logical to just leave her behind after all. But Hohenheim yelled at her to hurry up and get to the door. So they all crash through with a bunch of students following behind. Then Dante summons every sinners available and we get to clashing. Since Kira is here, I decided to use the middle gang to mop the floor. But after the fight, they all wonder why Ryoshu couldn't draw her OP sword. And after Ryoshu gave her scabbard a stink eye, it started to vibrate. Ooh. For a second, maybe Ryoshu would remember, but she doesn't. She thought that sword was a 6-star max crit rarity. So we take her to the mini base in the HOS, and while she's getting her sword inspected, we get this honestly pretty funny scene while they discuss if it's even possible for them to use the yellow ring and aura technique. But to summarize, it's not fully understood yet, however, anyone could use it. Even you, pre-contract Yi-sang. Then Vergilius just checked Kira. Like at this point, I kind of feel bad for her. She was trying to join in on the conversation and he hit her with the, you know you're just an acid, right? Yeah. You know you're bordering termination, right? Yeah. I don't think it's unnecessarily mean because right now, we are not friends. But Hohenheim told everyone that the sword isn't the one with the will, but actually the scabbard. It's kind of like an ego, but we gotta do more research on it. And Ryoshu was pissed off, like she just lost the 50-50. She really wanted that 6-star sword. To which the scabbard also shook since it took offense to that. Then Dante, being a caring manager, asked if it's possible to resurrect that scabbard. Again, we don't fully know. That's something they'll have to research. So instead, we gotta continue on our mission of exploring the backrooms, with Otis and Heathcliff joining the team. This time Kira gave us even more information on the door, allowing us to explore a lot of the safer one, with one giving us the memory of Sayu, Ryoshu's dog. Turns out, when Callisto turned her dog into a sword, he made sure that the sword was still alive, meaning every time you swing it, the sword would feel pain. Like, why? This was when they had an art discussion, like, we get it, art is subjective, right? But I'm on the side of these two because like, what could you possibly gain from making a dog sword? But even though Ryoshu used to be scared of it, she eventually developed her own taste. However, the memory stood out to her. Someone else was crying to her. It couldn't be her dog, it was something bigger. Now, we all know who this is, but in order to help Ryoshu, we gotta let her piece the threads back together. Though, in the middle of this, a bunch of the furry artists appears to try and take the old artwork back with them. So, they made sure these guys don't even get the chance of doing something stupid. But with that out of the way, we move on to the middle corridor. As you can see, most of everything Kira owned was either trash, sold, or repurposed for the staff room. But Heathcliff asked the same question that's been stuck in my head. These backdoor portal things are a bit too convenient, and long story short, they genuinely do act like the backrooms. When they open one, it's a gamble on whether it actually sends you to where you want to go, or, you know. They checked out a door that leads to U-Corp, and it's a great callback to when our boys stole the hair coupon. But I kinda feel bad for Kira here because she was excitedly talking until she suddenly stopped because she felt like nobody cares. And you know, I've been there. But shout out to Ryoshu for being inclusive by rage baiting Kira. Then they trauma bond over how Matthias was a pretty bad dad, which gave us another memory. Back then, Ryoshu wanted to go to school because she wanted to make some friends. So Callisto puts her in a ring academy, which surprised me because like, genuine question, how big is the city to be actually recuperating the death toll every day? Because these children are getting actual corpses to play with. But this memory was really bad since Ryoshu bonked Dante on the head for making her remember it. You see, while on her first day at school, some kid insulted the art and, you know, as a kid, you sometimes defend what you were taught. So she got into a fight and I'm pretty sure she won. But when Matthias found out, he went and showed them what an American school is like. And that forever traumatized Ryoshu into never wanting to go to school again. But also to never tell him about anything she cares about. Again, she's remembering her daughter, which Heathcliff and I had that sympathetic look. Especially as she comforted her scabbard while it's shaking. But they suddenly get jumped by the ring student again and had to go back into HOS because we don't need 2 faction after us. But not gonna lie, these fights got me. Like, don't get me wrong, okay? The story is premium so far, but the fights kind of feel tacked on. I don't know. Share your rating in the comments. So fast forward a bit, and we're now in the Thumb Corridor. At the same time, Gregor's having this therapy session, and Honglu really is a top-tier friend. Gregor spoke about his fear about turning into the Roach Emperor again. Sure, he used to not care if any of the people around him die, but now that they've been together for so long, that feeling has changed. For a time, he was happy to be weaker than Yi Sung, but now that we're actually getting stronger, he wanted to leave. You can walk away, but the danger of our journey won't leave with you. We'll still be facing danger every day, and it's not like leaving will give you a peace of mind. Our death can be reversed, even if it comes at the cost of Dante's suffering. The same can't be said for most people in the city. But we ended up getting caught for eavesdropping, and Dante really tried to play it off by saying, I was actually waiting for just the right time to come out and say a few words. Like, dude, come on. But we pretty much get a little more hindsight on Valentina and Lucio. How every day Lucio had that feeling where he really wanted to stab Valentina. And that got me thinking, how cool would it have been if we have him on our side right now? But to help with Gregor's PTSD, they decided to do some exposure therapy. Told him to open the most Silent Hill ominous door possible because Ryoshu was pretty sure it led to the scene of the Smokes War. So, with some hesitation, he opens the door. Gregor used to work in this office, and at first I thought this Ted guy was like that annoying manager, the type that tries to be friendly with you before asking you to stay a little longer so you can close up while they go home early. But turns out Ted wasn't that bad, asking about his current job and how he's been doing lately. In fact, Honglu even pointed out how Gregor kind of talks like him, but he had to face the reality that the war is over. It's still gonna be difficult, but for the time being, he'll continue to live. They all return, and apparently those ring guys were just walking around, so Dante hit the low tier god speech, moving us to the Index Corridor. Everyone was here now because we kept disconnecting their controller, but Kira gave us some info on this place and reminded us about how Sora got deleted. Ryoshu almost connected the puzzle pieces, and while Sinclair was translating her acronyms, Arya suddenly hits him. Poor guy, because they all just started gaslighting him. Manager, you saw that, right? Yeah, nah, you're just imagining it. But just for a moment, we heard Arya talking. Now, does this mean that Ryoshu is super close to remembering her daughter? Or is it because Arya is being more expressive? For now, they went to Rian's most visited door, and if you're like me, you're also wondering what kind of dungeon this guy kept around. There were fresh bodies everywhere. But if you look a little closer, you'll see that these people have been forcefully mutilated. A bunch of the Index are walking around and they are adamant on defending the upstairs level. Yo, if down here is this bad, I can't even imagine what he kept above ground. They pushed through the army of Index members only to find an old home. If you saw my last video or played Kanto 9, we both know that this is Rian's old home. The place where he sat on that couch to watch his family get murdered. Ryoshu noticed a drawing of the ocean, but that was pretty much it. After that, we end the mission with the Pinky Corridor, and while looking around for a bit, Ryoshu remembered a very sweet moment. A time when she made food for Arya before school. Dante really wanted to help Ryoshu remember, so we stayed here for a bit. Until an OP furry appears. They have an art debate that I'm not even gonna get into. Basically, Ryoshu said, your art is trash, and I'm gonna make a new art movement. Sangria. This fight will be the only one I talk about because there was a time when this furry was stupidly unfair. You see, there was a temporary boss mode in which Rufo had taken 20 shots of cocaine-infused tequila, giving her the ability to turn your skin inside out. This was when I realized that Kira actually does do something in the fights because she alleviates the pressure from the constant skinning. Keep in mind, this was before the release of Mom Before Children nerf. But after sufficient artist debate is held between two mommy factions, Rufo decided that enough is enough and equipped the fursuit. Now she can go on all fours and kick the incorrect opinion out of your frontal lobes. POV when I talk to a member of the opposite sex. After she scratched your team enough, she will use her ultimate ability to politely ask the blood to exit your body. So if you don't have an ego to clash with this move, then better get ready to hit that restart button, because she's about to dunk on your entire team. So after defeating Rufo, she decides to slam the floor, trapping everyone in an infinite loop. Faust told us that rescue should come in a couple of weeks. Like what? I'm gonna take a guess that everyone's super busy. Otherwise, wouldn't they notice that 13 employees are either missing or slacking off on company time? But Ryoshu decides to just use Arashiki to cut the backrooms apart. However, Heathcliff stopped her. He's the only one who can understand how precious memories are, especially after his canto. Unfortunately, the last word of Rufo were pretty ominous. We can't really risk staying here long or explore further than this room. So with all the consequence laid out, Ryoshu decided to use her sword. Arya comments on how her mom was getting closer to remembering her, but she's okay with trying again next time. Going back to meet with Alan, he revealed to us why we've been doing this. The higher-ups are planning something big, a wing war to claim the W Corp spot. They were going to use the House of Spider like a nether portal railway, so it seems like the future certain Sinclair talked about is coming true. But for now, we went back to Hohenheim to give Ryoshu a checkup. Heathcliff was all nervous, and surprisingly, Ryoshu as well. She was hitting that lung cancer speedrun before telling Hohenheim to STFU. Damn! Though he somehow figured out what Ryoshu lost. Like that one side character next to Saudi, the time she got complimented on her food, oh, and 172 hours of Don Quixote's tail and food type. How did he find that out? But we found out that Arya has actually chosen those memories to be sacrificed, and I don't know if things are labeled, so imagine her actually needing to sit through 172 hours of Dawn Yap session just so she can delete it. But it's not that simple. Unfortunately, how the sword works is based on how precious the memories are to Ryoshu. So that 172 hours was basically some doom scrolling numbers while the cooking memory carried the cost. Even though she failed to remember her daughter this time, the act of just remembering that someone used to be there is enough, because eventually, Ryoshu will regain what is forgotten. So finally, after I don't even know how long, we're back on the bus. I'm not gonna lie, Kira has grown on me, and I really hope this is not the last time we see her. Same with Hohenheim, cause, you know, that's my dog. But now, we're heading to N-Corp, the place where all the villains gather. Okay, time big.